Oh man, got a lot to go over today. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday morning. Everybody had a good Valentine's Day. Got a lot of airdrops coming in, a lot of interesting things happening in the market, all-time highs across the board within crypto. Green charts, we love to see that. Bull market, whether you like it or not, is here, but retail is not. So we're early. Love to see that. I'm gonna be going over a lot of things, a lot of interesting ones happening in the market today. Notably, we had Arcade and MetaStreet with some announcements. They're very important. And one of the key topics and key industries or key layer twos that I've been talking about mostly is Blast. We're going to go over the ecosystem and how you can be making EV positive trades with your time and money, and figuring out where in that ecosystem you should be focusing on, and how the big Blast competition is going to be something you should be paying attention to tomorrow as they do the live stream, and understanding the different categories within that. And then we're going to chat a little bit on the AI narrative and a couple of different tokens I think should be on your radar. Glad to see everybody in the chat. We have a GM from Philly. We got Noah. We got, oh, I love to see it. We got some Twitter viewers already in here. A Polaroid in the chat. GM. To our audio listeners, welcome. This is the Morning Mints. I'm Hunter Orrell, and we've got quite the packed show for us ahead. Well, markets are green, and you know, every single day that we've been doing the Morning Mint, I'm gonna keep saying this, the markets are up, and I'm excited. Obviously there is a lot going on here, and it's not just, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum, but across the entire market we are seeing green charts. And if this is getting you concerned, if you're looking at the same, well, Hunter, my portfolio is not up, don't worry. Okay. There's the meme going around today. If you're not up 4x, 5x, and you've been here throughout the bear, you like understand that you should not be FOMO trading into this. You should be taking a step back and looking at what you can do to get into the right narrative, into the right ecosystems, the right protocols. This is not the time to go onto Solana and start buying meme coins and just like looking for that 100x. Take the time. There's a long market ahead of us. We're probably going to see peak pandemonium as we go into the fall, and you know, the absolute peak's probably going to be around Christmas in January next year. If we look at past cycles, and I think this one will be a little bit accelerated. And again, every day I'm going to keep saying this, Bitcoin is right now the highest risk reward ratio that reward to risk ratio that we see out there. Ethereum and Bitcoin currently sitting very close to their local tops within this part of the cycle. Bitcoin around $52,000, Ethereum $28.26, Solana down a little bit actually from its highs that we saw a couple points at 113, 114. It's looking good. This is making me happy. The NFT market as well seeing some volume increases. Ethereum, ETH NFTs really starting to kick up, notably on the trending side. Moonbirds ripping off of their 1 ETH lows all the way up to almost 2 ETH, currently sitting at 1.6. Pudgy Penguins a little bit off of their highs at 20 ETH, but they are still keeping Bored Ape Yacht Club within 2 to 3 ETH of the flipping. So we're at 23 for Bored Ape Yacht Club, 20 for Pudgies. We are also seeing some flows back in to other projects, a lot of volume picking up on Azuki. Doodles, they made an announcement for Studio, which we're going to cover in about 4 or 5 topics here. They are sitting at 3.6. I'm curious, just because this did come up the other day, where Cool Cats are at, as they did pop off a little bit. And actually, we're gonna look this up real quick. Let's see here. Cool Cats, they are currently sitting just at 1 ETH. It's interesting. If we'll pull up this chart just so that people get a better idea of this. There's been a ton of accumulation possibilities here. We did see earlier in January that they did pop off a little bit, and we are starting to peak, and more people are bringing back this narrative of, hey, this is old, this is, current blue chip, they are doing some stuff. It will be interesting to see if they make any announcements that are on the IP side substantial, and if there's any ways that holders can benefit. The airdrop meta is going to be a key to look out for here. And obviously, two of our topics here will be around Pudgy getting airdrops and why that's been fueling their floor price. As always, this is a news show. We cover some news, but it's also my thoughts and takes, and none of this should be financial advice. But I'm definitely going to miss a lot of topics and things that are happening within the market. And I do encourage you to go check out Pluid. The show is not sponsored by them, but I do work with them, and they do put out incredible articles that go over each of the daily events, and they are very up to date and thorough with it. If you have it, go check out Pluid.com. Notably, I'm not going to talk about ApeCoin today, even though there was a ApeCoin vote in AIP, and how that has fueled the price of the token. You can go and read that here on Pluid.com. Let's hop into our first bit of the day outside of the market overview. Some notables for me. Just want to put this on everybody's radar. DC Investor, a friend of mine, and also a very, very smart Ethereum, I would say very smart blockchain investor and analyst. Did a very great article and interview here with Cointelegraph. I encourage you all to go check this out. You can go to his profile. He has it linked there. But he's very, very intentional with where he puts his money and what he invests in, what NFTs he buys. He has a very unique and a very non-maxi look at the industry. Obviously, I say that, but he is obviously very into the Ethereum ecosystem and very bullish on it. But the things that he buys and the thesis that he has behind his buys is one that I fully back, and is one that in some ways I copy trade, but it is one that is a good thought exercise, and he makes some very good points in this article. Also, another thought, and just something I ran across this morning, is a good post from my friend Andrew here, going over an artist that he found that he knows is some other artists in the space. I think we're going to see this happen. And it works for artists. It does not work if you're an NFT project. You cannot be like, hey, we launched a NFT project and this is too overwhelming and I'm going to just go start something else. Within the art space, though, you have collectors, and as that narrative builds up, as you have people expecting stuff from you, it is totally fine for you to go and basically do anonymous art and just create without the expectations for floor price or keeping within your previous styles, or how are you benefiting previous holders. I think this is an interesting trend. We've seen it within the traditional art world. Banksy's a great example of, we don't know who he is, and it's very clear that some other artists have put out work under his name, and he's actually put out art probably under other artists' names. It just gives them the freedom, and it gets rid of some of the speculation side to it, and just lets the art be pure art on the market. Really cool concept, and I think we'll see more of that. Highlighting another piece of art that I really enjoyed this morning was Grant Yoon's piece that he posted here. Love the colors. Gives me US Open vibes. Just want to highlight this beautiful piece. If you don't know who Grant is, definitely go check him out. This is an interesting one. Just wanted to put this on everybody's radar. I'll play a little bit of this audio clip here, but Gensler is now getting roasted on CNBC Live. People are pushing back to his absolutely terrible narrative and absolutely terrible takes. It's a 3-minute video. I'll play the first couple seconds, give you an idea. But you can tell that he pushes a little bit of the wrong narrative, and the anchors are pushing back now.
Is that the problem, though? It's not necessarily Bitcoin, the underlying asset, but more the froth and the potential for fraudsters to use it that has been.
Well, this is a field, Becky, that's been rife with fraud and manipulation. And look at all the bankruptcies.
Look at this. He's pushing this narrative.
Right. People talking about those various bankruptcies. And it's not just one entity. It's entity after entity after entity. And then investors are just lining up in the bankruptcy court.
What do you make of, this goes to the underlying piece of this. You've heard Jamie Dimon say that he would close it down, that basically Bitcoin
I've
you've
heard
seen the
him say
comments,
that.
right? It's not just that he closed it down, that he would say it's used by drug dealers and used by folks who are doing all
Yeah,
sorts
they
of
push this
illicit
bad
and
actor
terrible
narrative.
things.
They're all pushing this bad
There's
actor
very few
narrative.
things that trade today that people talk about like that. Now, there are obviously frauds and things that happen, but maybe not like this.
Like the dollar is like 100 times more.
I know that's your perspective, but I'm just
But the
I'm curious how you think about that.
Right.
That's true, though.
They're just saying that
This
because
is
this is
how
digital
much has
currency,
been money
bad
laundered
things are
with
happening there.
Bitcoin.
But the
This is
dollar,
how much- this is Bitcoin.
everywhere
This
else,
is dollar.
there's
This is dollar.
terrible
Yes,
things
but
being done. This is
look,
just
here's the Jamie Dimon
transparent. It's
quote.
part of the narrative.
The only true use case for it is for criminals,
that's the-
drug traffickers, money
That's his
laundering,
opinion.
Exactly,
and
right there.
tax
Well, I think
avoidance.
he also
I know, but we
That's
have a
that's his
guest.
See?
opinion.
We have a guest, Joe. What is your opinion?
I could stop it there. But you see, this is super interesting because now we're seeing traditional media, CNBC, pushing back on this idea. And I think another person who did this really well and it went very viral was Gary Vaynerchuk when he was pressed on this idea. And he basically alluded to, hey, the blockchain just, allows transparency, allows things to be seen. You can trace it, you can track it, it's publicly available. There's terrible things being done in cash over banking. I mean, look at all the traditional banks fueling cartels, et cetera, that we just don't see. Really interesting to see this. Really cool to see it. Just again, wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Should be on your radar. It's bullish for us. Some other notables right here. Tracking airdrop plays. I got a lot of crap because I got out of DOIM a little early. Didn't get right it to the highs. Probably missed out on an extra $4,000, $5,000. I want to put this on everybody's radar because there is statistics behind selling earlier. Even though it's free money and people say that, you do have a very interesting statistical thing that comes out when you start looking at how are airdrops performing. And obviously there are outliers, but as you can see from this chart, there are not a lot of outperformers after launch. And by the numbers on day 5, normally about half of the airdrops trade under launch. On day 50, that number goes up to 70%. And then I think the most interesting part of this narrative is how is this going to change going forward? Now, a lot of these airdrops, and I looked at this, a lot of these airdrops that came out were previous cycle early. And the ones that we're starting to see are now using the staking mechanic. They are incentivizing people not to sell, or they're working in mechanics where there's low liquidity. Look back to DYM. Getting that out into USDC or to ETH was a nightmare. You had to go to like KuCoin, you had to send it there. Not everybody could get to it. The bridge wasn't open originally, and actually even bridging out via EVM, I think that was the only way you could do it. Their local bridge wasn't working. So people are working this in. I believe that this is going to start changing some of the behaviors. I think with Blast especially, you're going to see a lot of mechanics for those airdrops encouraging you to hold, to give you rewards back on the developer funds they were awarded. Understand this. Understand that the game of airdrops is probably going to change, and it's going to change a little bit towards a holder's game where you get these airdrops and you're either able to only get out so much originally, or you're rewarded multiples on top of that for staking or doing something else with it. And also how staking that airdrop might qualify you for another airdrop. And so then it becomes a whole value analysis of what that brings to you. So understand that that is a thing. The last one that I will highlight here before we get into the rest of our core topics on my notables is Lords. Now, a lot of people got rugged by the stuff that we saw happen with Starknet, which was really they only awarded devs. Everybody who was on Ethereum and was all posting about it got nothing. And even some people who were actually users of Starknet and other things on their ecosystem app didn't get anything. And this led to, and I don't fully understand the entire FUD here, but it led to a bunch of FUD with Lords, and it didn't change the underlying project at all. I will disclose here that I do own some Lords, but I wanted to at least bring up to people that when you see charts or when you have a coin and you look at it and you don't understand what's happening, you need to go and ask people and analyze that and figure out if something fundamentally has happened with the project. For this one, there were a bunch of people who were trying to basically farm for Starknet, is what it seems. And because of that, some people just said, eject, I'm out, I'm done. I don't want to be anywhere near the ecosystem. Lords then caught a stray bullet on this, hasn't changed anything with the underlying project. And now you have a discount. And so now if you are a person who has conviction here, this is a great time to dollar cost average in. Is not the time to hit the eject button because nothing has changed essentially. And that's how I view it as an investor and as a position that I have open. Again, just providing my thought analysis on how I treat my positions and how you could yours. This is something you're looking at. Definitely go take a look at it and possibly invest. On to our next topics. MetaStreet launching Ascend and sharing that they've raised $25 million. This company is going to be, I think, one that we talk about a lot, as Arcade will, and as well as Gandhi. The loans that we're starting to see take narrative, and obviously of G Money's $1 million loan, that got national coverage and traditional finance coverage. But we're going to see this be a absolute fuel for what we see happening within the loans market and the NFT market and the crypto market overall. It's because of liquidity. If I have, let's just say I have 200 ETH in Pudgy Penguins. I own 10 Pudgy Penguins. That's wild to say. I can't do anything with that. I have all this liquidity locked up. I can go to a platform like Gandhi and I can get out, let's just say 30% LTV. That's 60 ETH. And I'm paying obviously I'm paying some on it, but I can take 60 ETH. I can throw it into a leverage position. I could go in I could get real degen with this. But you see what I'm saying? I can get out now ETH. I still own those Pudgy Penguins. They're just in escrow. I need to pay back my principal for that financing, and obviously whatever interest is accrued on that. But I'm able to go out and utilize that and possibly get additional yield. And so if you look at how we are starting to see this almost snowball, which is, okay, if loans and liquidity on NFTs become a very big thing, what is going to be the number one projects that offer that liquidity, and which are the largest ones? And so this is why I say we're definitely going to see Punks approach $1 million, because there will be the easiest one to get loans on and the highest LTV and the largest chunk that you could put into a single asset, in my opinion. Then you'll have Chromie Squiggles, Pudgy Penguins on the PF side, but I think it will be generative art that gets the biggest rise out of this, because again, there is no speculative market associated to like a game or culture or what, e-com or licensing deals. It's just art, and it will increase or decrease based on its relevancy within the art world, and it's way more stable. And that's kind of what Punks are. They are just art, and they signify the start of the PFP cycle. So understand that this is coming. Right now you can go on to Ascend, you can deposit, and you can supply LP, you get points. I will do a write-up or a video or something additional. Let me know in the chat if that's something you want to see around how you can play this and what the best EV positive things are. Obviously, if you have a ton of liquidity, it's a different option if you have little liquidity here, because this is a dollar basically backed point system. You have to have money to put in here to get something out of it and interact with their ecosystem. Next up on the other side of this is Arcade announcing that they have a claim coming. They are also in the lending and loan side of things. They are doing a PvP though airdrop. It's interesting. Haven't seen this one before. I have mixed feelings on it, purely because of kind of like the hype and like making people rush to a site and claim. It hasn't opened up yet. Keep your eye out. I don't know when the exact claim is, but if you own a Pudgy Penguin, Little Pudgy, Sappy Seals, Puppets, Node Monks, Runecoin, I think there are some others in there, Mad Lads, Tensor as well. You can get in on this PvP claim, which is, again, a little crazy to me, right? You're going to have to be one of the first 4,000 wallets in there. And I have a feeling it's just going to be an absolute nightmare to do this. We'll see how it plays out. but understand that that is something that is happening within the loan space. And I do expect that Arcade to be worth some decent money. Also happening, new news in the Doodle universe, as we've seen Doodles increase on floor price day over day, and they've stuck at that 3.5 ETH point, making that 2 ETH area, that low consolidation point that we saw where I was buying and talking about last week, a great entry. I think we're going to continue to see more stuff coming out of Doodles. And this is evident by their team talking more, investors that I know have written very large checks who have gotten very quiet. Even though they're not talking about Doodles, they're coming back to the scene. You can tell that, that they're putting more eyes onto the general market. Love this. It is a mobile app. I'm not sure. I haven't actually opened this on my computer, but this is kind of the hub for everything they're doing within Doodles. It allows you to shop. It allows you to create your own doodle, create art, GIFs, and so much more. It really is a cool place to interact, and I can see the direction they are going from a community side. And most notably, remember I said this when we were talking about Doodles last week, is their ties into music. They've got a nice little music tab up here that, again, signifying that they are going to go hard on that side of the media consumption, as well as how they will work music and Doodles together on the IP side. We have not seen any projects take this stab this way, and so I'm very excited about that. I think that could be a great fuel for their floor price. Coinbase, as far as other things that go that are time sensitive, Coinbase has earnings today at the post of the bell at 4 o'clock Eastern time. We are expecting, or at least I'm expecting, because I own a lot of coin stock, we are expecting earnings to come in and allow and beat earnings and have positive, I guess, projections after all the ETF drama and news. There are some that are expecting, though, on the other side, that Coinbase is taking a hit with the ETFs. My opinion here, just from, and I'm left curving here, so I'm either or right curving. But my thought process here is, even though we have all these ETFs and they're going to have inflow and retail is going to deal with them, I don't think they're taking away from current users as much as some think they will. We will see mostly just boomers who have not interacted with Bitcoin at all and are throwing 1% of their retirement account or their 1% of a pension fund, whatever that might be, at these ETFs. And so they weren't going on Coinbase previously and purchasing there and using Coinbase as their custodian. They just weren't even aware or interacting with it in any way. And so while I do think that it will take a little bit of business away from Coinbase, I don't think it'll be that significant. And I think the fees that Coinbase is earning and their current business model will continue. And we're going to see a very positive outlook on Coinbase, especially also as we go into a bull market and what that means for their fees, number of daily active users, average purchasing price and power per customer that they have, and what they expect to happen with their launch of Base and how that will affect their business as they integrate Base into more and more partners, and as they integrate Coinbase Pay into more and more partners to allow onboarding and off-ramping in a more seamless and frictionless way. So keep that on your radar. 4 o'clock, put a post-it note, put an alarm on. I will be watching that live. Maybe I'll live stream it. Let me know if you want me to do that. Again, trying new things out with what we're doing on the podcast. If you would like to hear and watch that alongside me, and I can give you my thoughts on those earnings and how we play out, I can do that. Let me know in the chat. Let's move on to one of the core things that I like to talk about, and I'm going to keep screaming about it. This tweet that came out yesterday from Baseline, which was the introduction of a tokenomics engine for ERC20 tokens on the Blast Layer 2, alongside and through Thruster, caught my eye. And I started thinking, well, if I'm going to talk so much about Blast, and I'm going to be so bullish on Blast, and I'm personally venture and angel investing in the Blast ecosystem, actually, fun news, we're closing on a deal currently today, this morning, in the ecosystem. But if I'm going to be looking at the ecosystem and I'm interested in it, I want to make sure that everybody else is aware of what's happening in the ecosystem and how they can be figuring out what makes the most sense and where they can be spending their time, especially on the airdrop side. And as a lot of these protocols and new layers and companies are trying to get your attention, get you onto their their site, using their product, and then obviously an airdrop of a token or a TGE event, or distributing their developer rewards from the competition. This is broken down into different categories, and thank you Mooncat for providing this to me. But as you can see, it breaks down to all these different ecosystems or niches of vertical within the Blast ecosystem, which is NFTs, gaming, 2 different types of dexes within Spot and Perps, lending protocols, again, very important, GambleFi, SocialFi, infrastructure, and then you have your miscellaneous, which is like meme coins or a unique use of a layer 2 that we haven't seen before. In my opinion, and I'll understand where my focus is right now, and I did mention this previously on yesterday's show, which is I believe that we're going to see dexes be a very large part of this ecosystem, and I think that'll be one of the more important ones to keep on your radar. I believe that we will see the SocialFi probably be one of the most interesting ones. We'll definitely see things that we have not seen before, unique types of companies come out on the SocialFi side. And I'm also expecting some, I think on the meme coin side, there's going to be some fascinating things come out there. And so make sure when you are interacting, you see things coming out within the Blast ecosystem, because it's going to ramp up very hard, I think, over the next month. And as Blast TG and Unlock and all that, which I think is projected in May, gets closer and closer, more of these companies will be coming out and saying, hey, like, interact with this product where, it qualifies you for an airdrop. Understand, like, if you think a certain sector of the industry is going to win for Blast, just search for those names, search for these companies. But I also think that you need to understand that there is a difference in the quality of all the companies that we see on Blast. Some are absolute top tier, amazing founders. Some are literally teams that just spun up for this competition and they said, shit, let's do a Blast company. Like, we'll just do it. I would focus on the ones you think are going to be winners. I think Thruster is going to be a winner. I think Juice is going to be a winner. I think maybe I shouldn't call out exact ones that I think are going to be winners, but obviously, like, we've seen Thruster all over the timeline, and Blast has been retweeting tons of stuff. If they do something, it's very clear that they could possibly win something on the dev side, so you should be putting some focus into it and figuring out ways to, if they do get these dev rewards and they do distribute that within, it could be outsized to other companies or projects in the space. And I think also you're going to see probably some meme coins that are trying to figure out how to be unique on Blast, possibly be part of that on the competition side, earning Blast tokens, and then that becomes a whole tokenomics gamification side. So keep that on your radar. Very interesting stuff. Like I said, I love the Blast ecosystem. It's very cool. And I do think people are going to make a lot of money. It's probably the more interesting EV positive play of this cycle. Now, rarely do I talk about traditional securities on this show, but I do think it's a very unique opportunity to talk about, like, the mirroring of traditional finance, traditional companies, what's happening on blockchain, and how token prices are reflecting that and what it actually means looking forward. Super Microcomputer Inc. Having an absolute nutty day, and actually nutty week, as we see it up 35%. But if we go back to the max, you can tell that this company's been around, and then within the last 6 months within the last month really has taken off from where they were previously at, seeing over 300% increases. Now, the AI, the chip, the silicon chip, transistors, the GPU markets are all going nuts. And I cannot understate, from somebody who is trained in artificial intelligence, who ran a division for a large tech company globally in artificial intelligence, how impactful. And you can see this obviously with ChatGPT and Midjourney, which are, it's an LLM, it's a large language model. And you can see this with image generations, with GANs, and even on the art side, we're seeing some very cool stuff come out with reflective models. I cannot understate though, and how many other aspects of life AI is going to impact and how important it's going to be. And obviously securities are reflecting this. NVIDIA also having insane gains of their stock, even over the last 6 months, performing incredibly well. If we look at the crypto market, there are certain coins. I know Render Coin, Tau here that I've highlighted are also seeing this parabolic outbreak. Now, a lot of people, and me being one of them, saw this uptick and they're like, okay, this is just a fad. It's going to go away. And obviously I still own some Tau within here, but I should have been buying more because I understand that while we do see AI as a narrative being very loud and can feel kind of, bubbly, it's going to continue to be used. And as more and more people are needing GPU power, transistors, silicon, different compute powers, different infrastructure to run these models and stand up these companies and services, I do think it also puts a very large weight and a lot of pressure on the software side and technology side and infrastructure side of how are we interacting with this? How are we verifying things? How are we distributing compute power and GPU power? And I do think that turns to the blockchain, and the blockchain is a perfect solution for this. And now you can either say like, well, by holding ETH, I'll get exposure via the L2s or whatever happens there, whatever launches out of ETH to allow that to happen. Or you can go to specific protocols that are doing things with GPUs and AI. I believe that this is only the start. I think we're very early. I think that the valuations on these, you shouldn't look at the valuations per se just to be like, oh, well, that's outlandish. But I do think that you should understand that more people are going to be buying into this. The narrative for blockchain and AI together really hasn't taken off. It's really only been AI. And that it is one that I do believe we will see traditional media start to talk about. And a lot of traditional AI companies will start to talk about and integrate. And yeah, that's the long story here is that if you aren't looking at AI within the crypto space, it is time to really start doing that and getting exposure to it, as I do believe it will also be part of this next cycle that we see outperform other assets in a significant way. On the NFT alpha side, our last topic of the day, I wanted to highlight two things, and they're a little different than probably what you're expecting when you see NFT alpha. And they're more kind of thought exercises and ways to spot where things are either underperforming or how to copy trade thesis that you might not know exist or you might be trying to form yourself. These, I'll break it down into the two. The first one we're going to talk about is looking at very smart buyers or smart DAOs who have performed exceptionally well in the past and how they are allocating their funds as we entered into the start of the bull market, and also analyzing within those purchases what has performed well since that purchase, what has underperformed, and how much money do they put into those different assets, and do you think that, hey, there is a bull case for that, it just has not played out yet, and it makes it a good purchasing opportunity. We know, and Flamingo DAO is definitely one that I would look at. The other side, the other thing that I like to highlight around NFT alpha is projects that had a lot of hype, they had the attention, and now they've kind of cooled off, and we know announcements are coming or things are coming. The project that I'll look at for that being Crypto Undeads, it's going back towards mint price. We do know there are announcements coming, and it could be a very low risk play as there obviously are bids into the bottom, and there is a way to just get out of that if you want to. But I do think with that being kind of pushed down, there could be opportunity there. But on the Flamingo DAO side and looking at what others are doing, the general thesis that is clear if you look at this, and maybe you're not aware of every project that's listed here, is that they've put a very big emphasis on purchasing generative art, artificial intelligence art, and there's they had different sweeps, so I'm kind of just combining them all in here. And then blue chip creators, or consider blue chip creators, early creators of the ecosystem. So you have Beeple and Xcopy in there. I think they picked up some Grant Yunes. I think they picked up some early art blocks within there. And I think it really speaks to what their thesis of what is going to perform well on the NFT side of things. It's going to be the generative art and the blue chip creators within the art space. There are, I think, like Xcopy, the Grifters, that's a PFP, but that is a artist done PFP. Beeple's, the stuff that they've purchased from Braindrops, early art blocks pieces. If you look at these, some have performed well, but a lot of this is still very quietly sitting or has pulled back a little bit from where they even purchased. I think it opens up some great opportunities for if you would like to purchase based on the thesis of somebody else that you have also believed in. You're looking for that kind of validation, or you've been looking at something, you're like, well, I do want to buy that. I think that is going to perform well. You can go and validate it with other people's purchases and their theses. And I'll give you back to how I'm doing this is I was on the fence of buying more beef Brothkos. And as I've watched this price come back and back and back and pull back, understanding that there are some very other smart people who bought in size, and understanding that I believe in my thesis, I used all that information to make a purchase and go forward. And I think the same thing's probably going to happen with Genesis by DCA, early art blocks, launch day. That price is pulled back, throw some bids in like 1.3 to 1.6 area, pick up one or two of those. But it's very clear that the thesis here from the smart people in the room is original generative art, original creators from past cycles are going to perform well as the bull comes back and money flows down. I'd also like to note and put out that Crypto Undeads from Mint has pulled back significantly. We do know there are some announcements coming there, and I would like to highlight that this is a good chance if you're on the sidelines probably to start looking at this for an acquisition. I do think that a lot of people got hurt on this mint from obviously just we're under the entire chart or at the lows. There is a consolidation that's kind of played out here that you can see, and hopefully as they come forward and start talking about what they're doing between Solana and ETH and what they're doing on the tokenomics side, which is confirmed because obviously they are hiring on that side of things. There could be a spike here. And I just, again, as attention goes different areas and as things are kind of popping up and going away, you haven't really seen Crypto Undeads with the same narrative that they had going into Mint. And then it kind of drifted off and nobody really talked about it. And now I think that there is an opportunity to now get back in as attention could come back and they get very loud on the marketing side and what they're building there. The opposite can happen also as you buy into a marketing announcement. Like it happens, prices spike, you buy into something, it goes away. That's why you get hurt buying into news. And people mainly say buy the rumors, sell the news is the most EV positive plan you can have. I think there's lots to be done and find on the market. I think there's exciting opportunities ahead of us. Obviously, there are a lot of different things happening within the market. We're going to keep everybody updated and figure out, where you should be looking, how you should be navigating everything. But yeah, I think that's the show for today, everybody. Good amount of information and things going on. And, I really appreciate everybody coming here. I really appreciate the chat. Appreciate all the GMs. Let me know if you have comments, questions. It really does help, the feedback. If you haven't subscribed, that helps tremendously. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.